Look, I'm not an expert. I have no official credentials. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not a powerlifter. I'm just a normal guy who used to be really unhealthy, really depressed, and really flabby looking with a beer belly and bad skin and all of that, who went to very healthy, very happy, and ripped in only a year by myself. So, yeah, I'm starting this series called Training with Theo, where I'm gonna be talking about, training, like fat loss, how to build muscle, how to build strength, topics like that, and you're just gonna take it for what it is. Just a guy who managed to get fit on his own, sharing his view on things. Like I said, we're gonna do more specialized episodes later on, but I'm starting off the series with my story. Just gonna go through and tell you how I remember it when I started training, because I never would have thought I would reach this point. But anyways, let's start. So if you've been following this channel, you know that last year I hit the wall. After not feeling too good for a long time, I hit the wall and started having chronic panic attacks every day. I'm not going to talk too much about that in this video, but that's when I started working out. Like on the first day I had a panic attack, I immediately ran 6 kilometers. And then I did that for a few months every other day or so. But to be honest, didn't really do all that much for me, except like I gave myself the signal in my head that I was, taking action, doing something to get better. But then when I started to get better from this whole panic attack thing, it feels strange saying it now, sitting here, knowing how good you can feel, eating good and training good and, taking care of yourself. But just over a year ago, I didn't really believe that exercise and nutrition had that big of an impact on how we feel. But, when things started to get better with my panic attack thing, I was very motivated because things had been so horrible for months, So, I figured I was motivated and eager to keep this trend going. So I figured I'm gonna give better food and strength training a shot. So, regards to food, I didn't really go all that crazy. Like, I had a horrible diet before, like lots of microwave food and lots of fast food, like pizza, kebab, stuff like that. But it wasn't for me really that I had such a big addiction to these things. These were just cheap and convenient. You can buy them, eat them fast and cheap. So my diet was basically, what I would call like a semi-clean diet, like some processed food, but like the biggest junks like soda and candy and beer, stuff like that you cut out. So a standard meal for me was like meatballs, rice, broccoli, and some kind of sauce, basically. Exercise-wise, like the first thing I did was just pull-ups, nothing else. And I could maybe do 3 once, and then I couldn't anymore. So I started doing negatives. I did like 5 negative sets of pull-ups. So whatever you call them now, bring downs, like 3 times a week. It took like not even 10 minutes. And I noticed just from this diet and doing this little exercise, I noticed my energy starting to get better. So then after a couple of weeks, I added push-ups. Then after a week, I added some other exercise, and then I basically did it like this every other week or so. I added 1 exercise till I had like 2 workouts that I was switching between, working out on average every other day. So for the first 2 months from when I started training, at the end of July 2018 was when I started training. So for the first 2 months, I figured that I have some noob gains to make, so might as well bulk up a little bit. I ate a lot, my semi-clean diet, like I said, and people actually started commenting, like my biceps getting bigger and my lats and stuff. So I made some. I didn't think you were able to make gains that quick that were noticeable, but apparently so. But then I realized that I had gotten kind of fat. Like I weighed 83 kilos then, and for reference, I weigh 75 kilos right now. But I had way less muscle, so I'm guessing I must have lost like 15 kilos of fat or so in total since then. But I decided it was time to burn some fat. So I jumped on the keto diet, which I had been before. It's, for those of you who don't know, it's a low-carb diet, high-fat diet. And I had tried it before when I didn't work out, just eating keto basically, and I just knew that at least when you do the switch right when you do the switch, you can lose weight like crazy without even thinking too much about calories. So I started eating keto, and I did so for 2.5 months, and I was studying. So if you're smart about it, at least this class that I took, I didn't really have to go to school except for seminars and exams. So I had a lot of time. So I started out every morning. I live close to a forest, so every morning I walked for at least an hour in the forest. And people don't know that, but walks are just so great for burning fat. If you're looking to burn fat, you should do really intense interval training or walk, basically. Like jogging can be good for your heart, but it's not a good way to burn fat. So the first 2 months, I built some muscle, and then for about 2.5 months, I cut down. And so when I weighed myself on my birthday in December, I weighed 72 kilos. So I had lost 11 kilos and probably put on a little bit of muscle, but it's really hard to put on muscle with a keto diet, but I probably put on a little bit of muscle during that time. So now I was stronger than when I started out and kind of ripped, like a lot lighter at least. To just comment some things I did very good during these first 4 or 5 months or so. I was ruthless with a routine. Like, I never missed one work. I can't remember one time I was going to work out and I didn't. I can remember being hungover for the first time since I started working out. But I realized that, building good health, good body, strong body, it's not something you do quickly. It's all about the long term, right? So I realized that feeling a bit bad, it's not a good reason that, I won't be as strong as usual. It's not a good reason to not work out in the beginning, because now you're building your routine. So what I did when I was hungover was that I just cut the workout in half instead of skipping it, because I realized setting the routine is the important thing right now. Ruthless. Totally ruthless when not skipping a workout. And about the same with a diet, like maybe a few more cheats every now and then, but basically I didn't drink beer at all, and I used to drink like quite a lot of beer. Now, if I drank alcohol, I went for red wine or something. And basically almost no cheat meals. And what I think about this is that when you have your routine, when you are fit and you know that you're keeping up with all of this, it's fine to do a cheat every now and then. But I think that's a very, very good thing to do when you start out. Like, don't go hard, but just go, go for it. Like, be really, really hard on yourself with following the rules. So you're setting a new norm for yourself. And then you can deviate from that norm instead of your workout and eating well being the deviation. Let the candy and the beer and stuff like that be the deviation instead. And something I just realized now, editing, is that I should mention progression. I was ruthless with progression as well. I realized that you won't put on muscle or build strength by doing the exact same weight or the exact same reps all the time. So I always try to do more reps. Like training at home, I mostly focused on reps. Of course, I did a few dumbbell exercises, but always progress. If I do 10 reps on a certain weight, the next time I'm gonna do 11 reps on that weight. Or the next time I'm gonna add some weight and try to do 10 with that new weight. Like always progress. Always progress. That's something I followed training at home, and I've been consistent with it training at the gym as well. Progressive overload, like the bodybuilders and everyone always talk about. It's true. And it's not only with weight. You can progress by adding reps, adding weight, adding something, doing the reps slower at the hardest part. Make it tougher, more challenging in some way. You will improve if you try harder and harder things. You get better, you try something harder, you get better again, you try something even harder, you keep it going, you get better. Yeah, but so that was the first 4 or 5 months or so. And then at the start of this year, I started going to the gym. And I basically did a push-pull legs split, meaning that I work chest, shoulders and triceps in one workout, biceps and back in one workout, and legs in one workout. And I did my program, I designed my program by myself. Another good thing I did during the fall, that I was preparing myself for going to the gym. I could count on one hand how many times I'd visited gyms. So that's another good thing I did during the fall. Knowing that I was going to work out at a gym eventually, I consumed as much material I could to be prepared. So I basically made a workout program based on Athlean X videos. Athlean X I can really recommend. To me, nowadays, he's not amazing for me, but he's so good for beginners and just like general knowledge and avoiding and reversing injuries, he's great for. So I had a program of my own design, like all heavy compounds like squats, deadlifts, bench press, shoulder press, chin-ups and dips, and adding weight to them eventually when I got stronger. So for half a year, basically, I not trained like a bodybuilder, but I bulked and cut like a bodybuilder. Like my training program was designed to be both hypertrophy, building muscle, but also strength, like not more weighted to one or the other. Like if you notice, power lifters aren't necessarily always very big, but they're very strong. And bodybuilders, it's the other way around. They aren't necessarily very strong all the time, but they're big. So going for the golden average there. But yeah, basically I ate 6 meals a day. If I cut, I had that breakfast, shake, lunch, shake, dinner, shake. And I did the same if I bulked or cut, but, just switching the calorie count. And now in hindsight, I don't think the way bodybuilders eat is good at all. They eat good things, but it's stupid. It's stupid to eat so many meals in a day. It worked. I put on muscle and cut back fat. But, mostly it was intensity, That's something, I was crazy in the beginning when I started going to gym. Like, if you know about drop sets is when you're doing an exercise and you're prepared for when you can't do another rep, you have a lighter weight that you switch to and, keep it going. You push through failure. I was like crazy with this in the beginning when I went to the gym because I was so hung up on that you need to go to failure to make it count. And so for a while, almost every set I did was a drop set, like at least 2/3. And I wouldn't recommend that, but something good about that was that it made me so pain resistant, and so my willpower got so strong from this. And when I found out eventually that you don't actually need to do drop sets on everything, it was kind of nice. Some exercises that I was used to my muscle just burning after doing, and now all of a sudden I could chill for a bit. Like, that's how it feels when you're used to going till you can't lift more and, keep going and maybe keep going, doing a triple drop set. No, but so that's something I learned. You don't need to go to failure, but it's a good way to learn about your strength and also, get more pain resistant and disciplined. I basically, went for 2 months bulking, 2 months cutting, and made good progress in everything. Yeah, this period can be summarized by just consistency, working out. Started out going 4 times a week, quickly turned to 5 or 6 times a week, and just going real hard. No pain, no gain, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be painful in a bad way, but, if you're not sweating, if your muscles are never hurting, you're not making progress, I think consistency and just pushing myself hard is what you can say about this. Like, I had some injuries also during the time. I went too heavy on sheet curls. If you take a barbell and do curls, some people like to do the sheet curl when you use some momentum to get the bar up. And you can use some heavier weight then, so you can, go slow on the negative and overload your biceps that way. And I went a little too heavy with it and ended up like my ankle was hurt a lot, and I couldn't do any curl for a while. But even then, I managed to find exercise choices that worked, and my biceps kept growing. And so I was smart about tackling injuries. I had another one, my elbow, like right when I hit the new PR on bench press, and I was very happy. Like the very next day, I made a mistake with a dumbbell, so my arm kind of twisted too far, and then I had to slowly back then. But so basically, I've made constant progress since I started out, apart from tackling some injuries, and then I maybe plateaued for a bit. No, but that's really it for the first half of the year, like bulking and cutting, adding weight to the bar all the time, staying clean on the diet, not many cheats, never skipped a workout, tackling injuries well, always educating myself more by watching videos, reading articles, and even something I tried a lot by myself, I came up with my own exercises at the gym. Like, I realized that there's only so much you can learn by reading and watching. It's good to be prepared, but you learn by doing. Like, deadlifts turn out to be my best exercise. I would have never would have guessed when I was just watching videos and learning, but deadlift is now my best lift. So that's cool. Yeah, but so I did that basically for half a year and, adding some nice muscle. But always having a hard time getting below that 11-12% mark with body fat on bodybuilder's cut. I think bodybuilder's cut is it's so hard to follow because it's slow, you cut slow, you still have your food addiction because you eat all day. It's very hard, very hard. Probably works great if you're on steroids and stuff. So then at the middle or end of the summer, I found prolonged fasting, which really took my training to a new level. So I did my first long fast. I went 5 days on salt water only, water with potassium chloride and sodium in it. And I trained for every day. And only days after breaking it, I was stronger in everything in the gym. After this, I started eating 1 meal in a day, like the most hardcore form of intermittent fasting, and also do prolonged fasts. Because what prolonged fasting does is, of course, you can't build... if you're already lean, at least, you can't build muscle while not eating. But in the long term, fasting makes you so anabolic because it ramps up hormones like growth hormone and testosterone. I also switched to full body workouts. So nowadays, 5 to 6 times a week, I work out full body. And then you gotta find a balance, like where you wanna stimulate the muscle enough for growth, but not enough that you can't work it out the next day. But it's kind of self-regulating, because if I say that I happen to hit my chest too hard one day, then I just rest the chest for that workout. So it's very self-regulating, and it's a lot of fun. You don't have to plan your workouts out that much. Maybe you plan your compound lifts, but then you go by feel. I feel like doing some chin-ups today. I feel like doing some rows. Oh no, I don't feel like doing dips today. I'm doing this instead. You can be very flexible. And this has worked really great for me. Like, my bench had been plateauing for a bit before this, but it started to take off again. And now I've learned to cut down below those 11-12% body fat down into the single digits. I think the lowest I've been at now is probably 7% or so, and now I may be at 8 or so. Yeah, this episode is not about fasting, probably gonna have one of those in this series, but I gotta mention it because it really took my training to another level, boosted my strength, but also I finally got down to those really low body fat numbers. And it feels so good to be light. I know it looks cool and everything too, but it feels so good. You're so light. You're just flying around, and yeah, it's just a good feeling. I must just say it again. The bodybuilder's cut is stupid. You cut slow and you probably lose muscle while doing it. When you're fasting, it's very healthy for you. You do it, it's the fastest possible way, and you lose so little muscle doing it, just saying it. Yeah, but that's basically where I'm at right now. I train full body 5 to 6 times per week, with a 48-hour fast almost every week. Like, if I feel like bulking for a little bit more, I might go like 10 days before I do a 48-hour fast. But basically, 5 to 6 times per week, full body, with a 48-hour fast that I time so that I have my rest day on the second day of the fast. But yeah, that's how I started training, and that's it for the first episode of Training with Theo. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Please comment and like and share the video. It really helps me out with growing the channel. And in the meantime, everyone have a nice week, and I'll see you later.